Morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Let's get into it straight away. Well, usually I talk about the videos I've produced, but everyone understandably is talking about the Will Smith incident. As always, I like talking about what we can learn from these things. Also, let me know if you can see or hear me properly, if there's any echo in the audio, or if everything's sweet. There's a 20-second delay, so if there's anything wrong, I probably won't know from your comments until about 15 to 20 seconds. Sound is good. Thanks, Rusty's Garage. A lot of regulars: Boff and Donna, Jennifer, Davina, Quasiman, Dias, Ferrell, Schlitz. Just all the regulars. Thanks for turning up, guys. Yeah, I screwed up with a bit of, because there was daylight savings for us here in Melbourne. It happened at, I think, 3 in the morning. And so I just had to keep sort of readjusting posts and thinking what would be good an hour before for people, because our clocks went an hour back, I think, which gave me an hour extra sleep, I think. Davina said, in regards to the Will Smith thing, their lesson is don't be somebody else. Exactly. I keep talking in my videos to be just honest about who you are, but respectfully so. And then you're off the hook. You have nothing to worry about if you know you're being fair and decent and you're listening to other people, but they're not listening to you. You're always approaching life in a fair manner. And if you ever wonder whether you are or aren't, try and realistically and fairly see if you can be a third person observing the conversation. And sorry, I just had breakfast before. and actually seeing if the other person's being fair or if you're not being fair. So our behavior is the best thing we can do in our lives. How we conduct ourselves, how we let others treat us, it's all about us. Yes, others can impose themselves on us, but I think we give ourselves permission to be walked all over, taken advantage of, sleepwalk through life, go along with other people's yeses, the world's yeses, advertising's yeses, or no's, and fears as well, especially recently, over the last year or so. We just take on everyone's fears, everyone's axioms, everyone's sort of what's true, what isn't, and we discuss that rather than discussing how we've interpreted things and actually having a real-time dialogue. It's all, did you see what happened? Did you hear what happened? Oh, I'm worried about this is going to happen. They said this is going to happen. Anyway, off topic. So what do we learn from what happened with Will Smith and that sort of incident at the Oscars? Everyone's talking about sort of, whether he should sort of, I think he resigned from the Academy or something. That's what I heard in passing. I don't actually follow the celebrity stuff much. I hear it in passing, just like a lot of the other news. I don't know what to believe because so much of it is controlled. And I tend to hear it through conversations with family, friends, people I talk to online, people sort of that I normally discuss things with, as well as looking at the information out there, sifting it through, and then coming to my own judgment, which I think we should generally do to make sense of our lives. I've always said this thing about, say, women and relationships. Don't just look at what women want, look at how they act, look at the experience you've had, look at what everyone tells you to do, but the success and the failure rate of what they're telling you to do. Is everyone failing, but they're just telling you to do what they did and maybe you'll succeed? Because it's kind of embarrassing if other people admit, well, yeah, don't do what I did. Things like, whatever it might be, right? So I think that's the best way you can feel some sort of security in your life, where you can, with your eyes open, take the risks and maybe succeed or maybe learn a lesson. But I think the worst thing comes with guys doing what they're told to do, being the nice guy or being the kind of person they're told to be, other people's rules. You know, your parents and everyone telling you get married, do this. Yeah, don't worry about how the world is, and don't worry about that we're all getting divorced. But it should work for you. So they're trying to have a do-over through your life. A lot of people are quick to tell you how to live righteously. It's almost like they're telling themselves how to live. This is why I always suggest to people, if they're in a slump or they're at the crossroads, what advice would you give to your best friend or someone you cared about? I think it's analogous to Jordan Peterson's advice as well. But that's really the thing you should do. Because most of us safely just do what everyone else does, and we think, well, even if I fail, I'm failing with everybody else. And it's not too bad, we'll all support each other through our failures. But your own individual success, if you take that kind of risk, I think that's a better way to go. Anyway, this is a Bricko. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. He says, realize the majority of my life I've been cornered by antagonists. Yeah. I've had that in relationships as well, especially. That's the worst thing, where the person you think, even if they're not on your page exactly, can actually listen and understand you. They don't. You talk, it's almost like they block it out and they're ready to say, yeah, but no, you're wrong. It's this way. I don't agree with you. If you say the sky's blue, they say, no, it's not. If you say up, they say no, down. He continues, didn't matter if my opinions were fact-based and underpinning it with 100% distrust in the media. Apparently, this is not good enough. 1.2. I don't know what that means. I know what you mean. This is a Bricko. I had that heavily with my last serious relationship, more than any other woman I'd ever been with. Everything, I was just ready for her to say the opposite of whatever I said or suggested. And she would even actively do it. I don't know what it's like for women. Again, I talk from a guy's point of view. From my point of view, when it would be that whenever she would even ask a question, I would just know that, okay, she's going to ask me a question. Do I get clever and play reverse psychology and give her the opposite answer so she can actually act in accordance with what I want to do? Because I don't want to play those games. And what I mean by that, she'll say, oh, do you want the milkshake or do you want the soft drink? And if I want the milkshake, she'll say, yeah, I feel like the soft drink. She'll always be oppositional. So I got to the point of saying, well, I know what I want. Should I pick the opposite so she can agree with what I want? And I hate playing those games, because those kind of people, they just love saying no. They love kind of being individualistic by being antagonistic at every turn. It's their reflex. This is a Bricko. He donated again. Thank you very much. 2.2. That's what 1.2 meant. He continues, if I found it online, then the idea was squandered with derision and debasement. Yeah, even if you find proof, she'll say, no, I don't believe it. I talked about this a few times before, where I was at a New Year's party. There's a whole bunch of us just sitting around at night, having drinks, relaxed. Older people, wives, mothers, single mums and stuff. And one of the women was talking about how fearful she was of her daughter walking home at night from the station after work and having to pick her up. And one of the men there was a police sergeant about to retire, in his 50s. Big, really cool guy. And the woman was saying how awful it is out there, how dangerous it is for women, because she was talking about this kind of violence in the street with this police officer. And he said, no, look, statistically, the chances of your daughter getting assaulted is like, I don't know, single digits or even less. It was like, I don't know, 1% or 0.8 or something. No, this was I can't say the word, but the word beginning with R, and the rest of the word ending with ape. She was worried about that with her daughter, and the policeman said, look, there's a lot of crime out there. Yeah, there's different forms. There's sort of it's all lower level crime, and people feel very fearful out there. But the chances of that happening to your daughter, he says, like I don't know, 0.5, 0.01 or something like that. He says very, very low. And she was like, oh. And then they started talking about domestic, bang, bang, bang. And he said he was actually saying, no, from our experience, you'd be surprised how many false accusations we get. He said 70 to 80% of the accusations we get at the police station are false. They're usually attributed to an infidelity, a woman's affair being found out. And the way she gets through it is to say, oh, well, this guy attacked her, to sort of make it out as though she had nothing to do with an affair. It was this guy kind of imposed herself on him. And he said the other times, the false accusations are basically regret. She regrets saying yes to a guy and sleeping with him, or it didn't turn into a relationship she wanted it to, but he didn't want to. He just wanted to have fun, and he didn't promise a relationship. Or basically, she went to bed with someone quickly. She hoped it would turn out. She didn't communicate. She liked this excitement, and the next day she was regretful it didn't turn into a relationship, or it didn't work out. You know, the cold light of day sort of thing. And this was her dissonance at the party. She said, 80%, 70, no, I don't believe that. And he said, no, it's true. And she goes, no, I refuse to believe that. And I laughed. I said, he's a police officer. He's telling you. He's giving you statistics. He works this job. He's giving you the plain truth, not tabloid stuff, not stuff you and the media kind of like talk about. And she says, like, no, I refuse to believe that. And so there's people, they just refuse to believe empirical, on-the-ground reality truth. They would rather believe the tabloid, the media. And it stands to reason. I'm not saying it's true. But look at everything we love to believe and watch. The reality TV, the gossip, all this stuff. If something very boring and plain, statistically truthful, plain and boring is just presented to you, and it's saying, like, it's not this, it's actually this. It's pretty basic and ordinary. Shockingly ordinary, but it's not Hollywood tabloid stuff. This is it. No, I don't want to believe it. I want to believe that, because that sort of makes my world a lot more black and white. I want it to be in color. I want to sort of be stimulated by what I think or believe to be true. Sorry, this is a Bricko. You said you found the information online, presented it to your ex, and she squandered it with derision and debasement. She said, you can't believe everything you read. People lie a lot. LOL. Then after they'd say something NPC scripted to make me suffer. Nowadays you can't challenge ideas because my truth. Yeah, my truth, my bliss. You know, I have to follow my happiness. A lot of crap. Anyway, if any of you guys want to ask a question relating to this week's videos, please in the stream, if you are watching this live, but if you're watching this after the stream, pay no attention to what I'm about to say. Ask your question with a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis just before your question, so I know it's a question. Donna says $5 on human not starting at 10:30 a.m. I did start at 10:30 a.m., didn't I? I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did. Almost didn't. You had a really good chance of me not starting because of the daylight savings. I will admit that. Rusty's Garage says, I bet Will Smith wish he had that Men in Black memory zapper now. Yeah. Quasimandai says, you got to admit it was a pretty wuss slap. Yeah, that's kind of part of me that I think along with everyone else. Look, I don't know. It could have been staged. Doesn't seem like it is as things are coming out. But if it is or isn't, who cares really? It's Hollywood. A guy go up there and, you know, clench his fists and do what he did, not slap him. So, yeah. Look, in my video, I wanted to be much more direct. I said at the start of my video, as soon as he slapped him, I thought, this is about him and his wife. Quite plainly, as soon as that happened, I said to my family when I saw it, I said, no, that's what he wishes he gave to Jada. This is him expressing like all of this guy, because he's such a part of me feels for him because he's got so many good qualities of like an interested, good person, but when it comes to women, this is where I both see parts of myself when I was younger that I did that Will is still doing now. And I feel for that part of him that a lot of guys still have in him, trying to please women. You see clips of him all online, like apologizing to women, going back to his past and apologizing to some woman he worked with, like his school teachers. And it's all apologizing to the feminine. And it's and I don't want to say to Will, like, toughen up or man up, because I think that's kind of a bit debasing. It's not the solution. But I just wish he would find a way to cut that umbilical cord and care less about the women that really don't care about him at all, especially his wife. I think, let me look in the comments. Someone actually said it well. Basically, they said something about Will Smith and his wife are the worst pair. They don't match at all. Anyway, I'll come across it later. Anyway, I'll see if there's any more comments in the stream right now. Donna, thank you for the $5. Was this to me? Were you betting me unconsciously? So what happens if you won? Would I need to pay you $5 and I didn't even know about the bet? Thank you. You didn't need to, but thanks. All right. Questions. Doubting Thomas. Good evening from Canada, he says. Hephaestus 002 says, codependency is bad. One needs to know when to give up and walk away. Yes. Again, why I like to talk about simple ways of looking things like, does the friend treat you, does the girlfriend or boyfriend or like the love interest, do they treat you like a friend? Do you feel relaxed, or are you performing as a boyfriend? Are you on eggshells going, I've got this girl, I really like her. You feel like you've got a great job with great pay and great status and you're really proud and you don't want to lose the job? Or are you hanging out with a friend? Do you love a friend? Really kind of look at that, because those are the old reflex I don't want to feel anymore. And in the past, whenever I've gone on dates and I get that feeling through conversation with them and also self-reflection afterwards and in between, knowing how I feel, like I said, everything's a relationship. The first and primary one you have is with yourself and your own psychology. What's the relationship you have with yourself? And is it always working? Not neurotic, but calmly and functionally working when you're out there? Are you consciously engaged with your own psychology and conversing with it in a sympathetic, helpful way? Not in this kind of superego derogatory sort of putting you down like a dominating parent way, but are you always talking and engaging? The relationship you have with your own psychology, how you talk to yourself, your own ethics, and then also how you express that when you're on a date with people, what you do allow, what you don't, how you can say no. A lot of guys don't want to say no because they don't want to put a frown on her face, but learn that saying no is not a no to her, it's a yes to you. And if the more eloquently and politely you can say it, it is not your problem if someone gets offended, if you have said it in the best and most polite and fair way you can. If the only way they allow you to be with them in the conversation is to only mimic what they say, and to agree with everything while like you have to hollow yourself out, then it's best not to be there. You have every right to exist in this life, to say what you think, even if you're wrong. But if you can say it politely and respectfully, we can all have interesting conversations. Again, would you want to be with the girl where the conversation's boring? Or would you want to be with someone, even if you're not exactly on the same page, you can talk it through and come to an understanding and still be on the same page, knowing that, oh, well, human thinks this, I get it, but I don't, and he understands it, I think this as well. Like friends, again, you know. Human is saying, don't be a sheeple, Spec Ops. In a way. Blah, blah, blah. I can't read your name. It's in Cyrillic. He says, good evening, everyone from Serbia. Kako si? Randall says, Chris is the bigger person. Isn't it sort of amazing where the more respectful thing is not to act like an emotional chick? Because Will Smith kind of did that. Flo says, is it me or could Will use some more stoicism in his life? This is the thing. Will talks about this stuff a lot and did talk about it for years and years. And he doesn't practice any of it. This is why I say it's so important to try and practice this, even in little increments. With some of you guys that are taking your first steps and sort of have completely cut yourself off to sort of regroup and find what you want to do, not have relationships, maybe take some time out. Do whatever you want in your life, right? Enjoy yourself. Just make it all about you. If you want to take sort of steps back in, incrementally, you can sort of practice these things by saying hello to a family friend or a relative who's female, or like to sort of get back in the world and feel like it's your world again, that you don't have to escape. You know, where this is how I feel. It's even though women run the world at the moment, not right at the top, but the middle of the bell curve, the major pedestrian part of society, how we can talk, all that kind of stuff, all that BS, the political correctness, right? It's still my world, and I'll still try and curate my world as best I can. Whereas picking my friends, relationships, things I do, whatever, I want to enjoy my life as much as possible. I mean, we're all going to end in the same way. So while I'm here, I want to have as much enjoyment as I can. That means having my boundaries and knowing what relationships are healthy for me, what aren't, the time I spend, so on and so forth. But Will really needs to start implementing all the stuff he talks about and making it real. Not just thinking that, oh, well, I talk about it. I think here's something to think about. It just occurred to me, because he's an actor, I think he acts this stuff. He gets up on stage, pontificates about stoicism and all this kind of stuff, like the power of like belief and all this stuff, as though he was performing it in a movie. For Will Smith, I think it's still a performative gesture. It's ceremonial. It's not implementable. It's not ethical. He actually doesn't implement it. He thinks that because people admire him for being an actor, he can act this stoic stuff out in, you know, you just have to search on YouTube, and there's all these motivational videos from YouTube. You know, you have to watch this. YouTube's Will Smith's motivational words. And he says all this righteous stuff, but look at Will Smith. He doesn't implement it. So I think actually Will Smith acts this stuff and he thinks it's good enough, because that's where he's gotten a lot of his validation. He's gotten the pat on the head as a good little boy from the world and Hollywood and his fans and women because he's an actor. But I don't think he implements it as Will Smith in his life. I think if he just acts it out, then it's good enough. But you can't act it out. You have to sort of do it as a real person. I don't think Will Smith knows how to do that. I think it's a similar problem that maybe I think Jim Carrey had, but Jim Carrey went further. Now, whatever you might think of Jim Carrey, he's very, very esoteric. I don't understand a lot of Jim Carrey. But I do respect Jim Carrey a lot more than Will Smith because he just jumped off the cliff and he completely tried to embrace it ethically, and he's gone his own peculiar way in many regards. But there's so much of Jim Carrey that I respect much more than Will Smith because of how much honest Jim Carrey has gotten with all the things he was facing and going through. Will Smith is still hiding behind Mummy and saying all this stoic stuff. He knows what's right, but he doesn't want to do what's right. That sounds mentally draining as heck. Yeah, I agree. Adam Spec AC says, just try and be kind to each other. Simple to do, though harder to maintain. Yes. It's amazing how much stuff in life is simple, but not easy. It's very much like a light switch kind of bite-sized piece of clarity, but to sort of do it, there's a lot of resistance internally. How strongly do you think Will Smith's act was related to his loss of self-respect? I think he sort of his reflex goes back to acting too much, acting like the guy that everyone likes, acting like the guy that his wife will respect, acting like the guy that like I just feel bad for him. He doesn't know how to just let go of everyone's validation. He's just a validation machine. Part of me, look, part of me just wishes I could just take Will Smith, lock him away on a desert island for 10 years with good people, good men. Um, you know, I'd love to hang out with you, like a bunch of guys, including people like Will Smith, on it, and just like say, like the rest of your lives are over, you're shipwrecked, like Tom Hanks. You'll probably never go home. Let them sort of recover, and then go, okay, now you can go home. Wish there was something to do like that for him, because he's got like the platform to actually maybe teach people authentically, but he's just sort of the strings to Mummy's apron are just like ropes to Will Smith. They're not strings. Such Media says, why is Will Smith with that woman after everything she did to him? I know. But this is the advice a lot of us wish when we look back on our old relationships, we kind of cringe. And even while I was in the breakup moment of a lot of my relationships, I knew the right thing to do, but it's just kind of hard to make that final break because you know it's final. The pain of loss is something we need to know how to exercise, especially when we know it's right. We need to do it because that part of us that's talking to us like a best friend knows that life will be better, but we just don't want the pain of letting go and making, especially a woman, feel bad. Notice that we don't feel that kind of resistance to anything other than women, because that connection we have to the female as guys, that is really powerful. It's irrational that we would not want to do the thing because we don't want to make her feel bad or we don't want to lose her. You know, biology is saying don't throw the eggs away. Don't push the eggs away. What are you doing? Are you insane? That's the whole reason you are here as a male. So the eggs can be near you and you're willingly throwing them away. It's like we're throwing away gold or diamonds. Um, Emojis before your questions, guys, please. Vero says, human must have Italian genes, hand gestures. Yeah, well, I have European heritage. So, close to Italy. Mike says something very interesting. He says, you don't offend people, people decide to be offended. Look, it's different if someone intentionally sort of calls you a main name and wants to offend you, calls you something, a so-and-so or your family or something that's very kind of personal. Then you know that's intentionally an insult. If it's not an insult is, I disagree with you. I think your thoughts on this subject are full of crap. A guy should really sort of think, well, whatever, man. I don't agree. I think we've been trained to be offended because it promotes that response to clickbait and advertising, like the OMG sort of thing. Can you believe what they said? It's like, who cares what they said? If they didn't say it about me or my family, it does not matter. But everyone now, I think, is being conditioned to think it's wrong to say an opinion about something. They say words. I think Jim Carrey even said it. You don't assault someone because they said words. At the most, the only kind of, it's not an excuse, but the only leeway I give anyone is if you actually say words intentionally to debase and put down and insult and publicly demean and attack an individual. But if it's about an idea that you hold dear, that you love, I don't care. I have every right to dislike something, or if they're a celebrity, you know, they're free reign. I can like or dislike them. I can like a movie. I can like them as an actor or not, whatever. I can like someone's channel or not. Who cares? It's up to you if you want to be respectful and civil, but people, we just kind of constrict our relationships and make our world smaller, where we only say, I'm only going to talk this way. This is the only thing I believe in. This is my church. And I will take my sword out to anyone and anything that talks not like my rule book. You just have less interesting conversations. You're less open to people. People don't trust you as much. You only trust people in your little club. And your world gets smaller and smaller. And believe me, as you get older, your friends drop off, you lose contact, people pass away, you have less and less people around you. And if you adopt that very closed personality, you're going to have a miserable life when you get older. We've been going for half an hour only. It feels like I've been blabbing for a lot longer than that. Anyway. Elusive Man, good morning to you. Albatross, thank you for the donation. He says, Will should have gotten a divorce the second Jada said open marriage. Yes, there were probably times even before that, behind closed doors, to the point of actually getting to, I want an open marriage, would have been distance and coldness and arguments and why did you leave the toothbrush there and all BS like that. So, and we all know this. I don't think it would have been the happy relationship. Then all of a sudden he kind of got slapped in the face with a fish and it was like, I want an open relationship. But I agree. I said in the video, Will should have stood up to her earlier. We know that, but it doesn't mean it's his fault. I mean, women will sort of say, well, why did he put up with it? Yeah, but as soon as guys say, yeah, let's flip it around. If a girl were to put up with abusive behavior from a guy, it's like, oh, now it's his fault again. It's like, is it ever her fault? But in this case, I said it in my last video, I think even women find it very hard to take Jada's side. There's just nothing redeemable about her. I mean, of course, she picks Will Smith because at the time he was kind of like the golden boy of Hollywood. He was one of the biggest African American celebrities, and probably still is. No, actually, probably back then Denzel Washington still was, But, I mean, she dated Tupac, didn't she? So you look at her dating history, it's bad boys. And then she settles for the nice guy. She's very calculated. She's a very calculated person. Don't really, oof. Cold shivers when I look at that person. You just look at her poses. She looked like she'd rip your heart out. Trust your instincts, fellas. Trust your instincts. They're not... Don't shy away from feelings, because your feelings could save you. A lot of guys are like, oh, I feel nervous. I feel weird around her. But like, now I'm going to ignore my feelings. Don't ignore your feelings. Ask yourself why you feel like this and try and reflect on them, or ask them in conversation with the person so you can clarify and ease your feelings or understand why you might be feeling a certain way. Nancy Drew says, an open marriage is not a marriage, it's contradictory. Yep. I think there's there's been this hip way of trying to be philosophical or stoic in the last couple of generations, especially about trying to be with someone but be separate. And I think it's the result of, generations of like single motherhood and like broken families and men and women against each other, that we can still retain our individuality by holding each other at a distance in a relationship. You cannot be in love with somebody, and a lot of you modern people, I can see the knee-jerk reaction. It'll be like, yes, you can. Okay, do you? I'm saying, for the reason why I'm still open for a serious relationship is I know that when I'm in love with someone, when you're committed to someone, I don't want to spend my life on the treadmill rotating different people. I've got better things to do with my time. When you find someone and you got that security of trusting them, they're always there. It's like when I wake up, I've got the stuff I want to do, my hobbies, I've got my routines. Your world makes sense. There's a routine and control about it. It's similar when you've got a partner you can trust and love. They're kind of a foundation in your life too. Yes, things could go wrong in the future. I know. Nothing's guaranteed. I could lose a limb. My money could go away. My job could go away. Like, I could lose my home. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? But however rationally secure you can make your life, including the people you have in it, especially friends you can trust as well, that's what you want to do. So trying to have some open marriage where you say, like, how secure can you be when you say, I really love this person and I'm going to let them be with someone else during the week and live with them for a few nights and sleep with them? And would you, again, would I let anyone drive my car? Would you let, for you, those of you who've had kids or have kids, would you let anyone take care of your kids? Whatever you love, you have a standard for it. And I think the people that sort of like, no, I just love, I don't have to, I'm above your kind of very needy love. I can love everyone. I'm open. I am love. I don't need to just, possessively love someone. You do. This is what real love is. You possessively, selfishly love someone to the exclusion of everyone else. Now, if that person wants to go somewhere else, you let them go. They're not worth loving. But if they can show you the same level of commitment and trust and possessiveness and protecting over you and respect, you cherish that like anything or anyone else in your life that you love. Your routines, your health. You possessively and selfishly, like, no one's going to come in and tell me how to do me. You love selfishly. You don't give it away like it's nothing. You'll get the results of treating it that way. And then those guys, well, I was in this open relationship and we agreed, but then she broke my heart and I started feeling more and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's so wide and open and there's no standards. Of course, there's all these, because with the open, everything's so open. The beauty about, like, if you consciously agree to a committed, closed relationship, other people say, well, then it's not open. You're limiting yourself to different experiences. It's like, good. So my world is more secure, it's more predictable, it's more habitual, and I can actually move forward with this person as a foundation, like I have other things in my life that I can move forward with. But if I'm always starting at zero like a child and every day is new, And I don't know where I'm going to be from 1 week to the next. I don't know who I'm going to be with in 1 week to the next. I don't know who I'm going to trust from 1 week to the next. I don't want to live like that. You guys can. Have at it. And you can brag about the quantity of people you rotate. I would rather be happy and be proud of the quality of the one person or one car or hobby or things I do. I can point to them and say they're consistent and I've got my hands on them on that steering wheel. The guy whose name is in Cyrillic, the Serbian guy, he says, it's hard for an actor to get a grip on reality. Yeah, I highly recommend a book by the author of American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis, I think it is. It's called White. He's a director, and it's about his time in Hollywood and sort of being around actors. And really, that book's really great. I highly recommend it. It's a real life account of him as a director interviewing actors. I mean, the guy is gay, but he had relationships with actors, and he basically said how most actors, there is no one inside. Their default mode is love me. I will be whoever you want me to be. They will read the person and the situation, and they will mimic to be in a relationship or get the job or get the movie. They are very hollow people who are chameleons and are very, very adjustable. And I think, I don't know if Will even has a shell to fill up. He says, especially when they reach big dollars. At a certain point, they have a problem to determine what is real and what is an act in their own lives. Yes. Read Bret Easton Ellis's book, White. It's a really, really good account. I think he directed the movie Less Than Zero with Robert Downey Jr. back in the day. Very insightful. Really good book. Yeah, Nev634 says, seems like you're saying Will doesn't have anything substantial, a sense of self inside. Yeah, pretty much. Ted1775 says, rip off the Band-Aid. Yep. Momentary sort of... Think of it this way. The hard decisions we want to make is like Chris Rock there standing, knowing he's going to get a slap, right? That's nothing. And the rest of your life is great. Think about that. Take the slap and the rest of your life is great. That is how we have to... And the more you actually condition yourself to masochistically lean into the right thing to do, which is the slap, so your life is better. It doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive. Like I said in a recent video, why would anyone want to be uncomfortable? It's about getting out of your comfort zone. The reason you get out of your comfort zone, when you kind of know, no, this is the right thing to do, but it's going to be really uncomfortable. And this is the thing, a lot of guys like, oh no, a woman's going to destroy you. No, it's really uncomfortable. If you're present, stoic, righteous, and you speak up for yourself and you have your boundaries, it's uncomfortable to have those conversations, but overstep, like, you know, exaggerating and saying like every woman I talk to is a potential sort of landmine. No. Most women out there are very uncomfortable. But I think a lot of guys have to get used to uncomfortable to be able to kind of tell women no. Knowing it sort of builds confidence, and when you go forward, this sort of women start to resemble like the majority of the wrong type of women out there, and all their blabbing and complaining kind of starts going past you like on the freeway, like you're in a car going forward and they're going the other way. It's a really nice feeling. Whereas prior, when you don't know how to speak up, you're not self-interested enough to self-reflect and try and be a better person to sort of push away these people that are abusive and they use you, you feel like they're a wave pushing you back and you have to fight against them. The more you get to know this righteous stuff and stand up for it and rip off that Band-Aid, as Ted1775 said, you start to feel like they're a wave going past you, or they're a freeway going the other way and you're going in the opposite direction now without any resistance. They're in another lane and you're in another lane with very few people. The traffic is clearer, the sun is brighter, the weather is better. Too many metaphors, human. Dogger Baham says, do you think the "you complete me" myth has ruined many guys in failed relationships? No, I think that was a female chick thing in that movie with, what was it, Tom Cruise? I can't even remember. With Cuba Gooding Jr. Can't remember the name of the movie. Whatever. Flo says, when you made the reference about taking Will and others on a stranded island to set them right, it made me think about men's retreats. Do you think it's feasible? I think they can be. I think men used to do much more of it. You know, guys' weekends, fishing trips. Guys do it less and less. I noticed that even with my high school friends, we used to, after high school, we agreed to maintain the friendship by every year, without fail, going to a weekend away to a particular spot in Victoria. We used to always go to Wilson's Promontory. For 7 years straight, we used to do it. And then you'd start to see it drop off. I can't go, like I can't with this and that. And then I used to find out their wives actually didn't object. These guys just didn't want to do it anymore. So a lot of guys actually get very lazy in maintaining their friendships. They don't put up the effort, but they do everything the wife and the kids want. Fair enough. It's their life. It's what's most important. But yeah, I think there's a real positive lubricating effect that men getting together for a few days, just being guys, without a woman's world around you, just you, the guys, talking, relaxing, and not having to be there, not having to do anything for the world or women. It's a very sobering effect, even with a lot of alcohol. It's very, very sobering. I highly recommend it, and I don't drink. Yeah, Schlitz Maltz Liquor says will only change his life if he's forced to do so. He's still retreating at the moment. He's apologizing, like all these things by celebrities where they apologize. You could see them say something that's them, and then in the next breath, it's like, I apologize to everyone, and I'm taking steps to to learn better, and to, it's like, no, you're not. You're just apologizing to keep everyone happy and the advertisers happy and your job and things. And I get it. I just find it sad that an individual personality, an individual is squashed and everyone has to be groupthink. We're not going to get great entertainment. We're not going to have good conversations. We're not going to find love with a specific person because we have to love everyone. You know, I have to find Kris Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner attractive because that's what we're supposed to love. I'm supposed to like this. I'm supposed to like I'm supposed to find every race equally attractive. I'm supposed to love every body type in a woman. That's like, do I get a choice where I where I spend my life in the privacy of my own home with where I can actually be honest? Can I be honest anywhere? No. We'll tell you what you watch. We'll tell you who to love. We'll tell you how to speak. It's like, I might as well be Siri. T-Dog says, why do you think TOXIC, Femin ITY, doesn't get mainstream condemnation? Because it runs the show. Women are running the pedestrian part of society. They're not running the top tier, the Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk sort of part, but they're running the 95% of the middle. They're steering that ship. Women are great. Think of it. If you think of the top of the pyramid where the ruling class are, that control everything, the giga billionaires that run everything, women are the insulation between all of us and those guys. Women are the sort of girl power side of women, that neurotic girl power side of women that don't need no man and want careers and all that sort of stuff. They're the insulation between everyone else, all the guys, and those like 1%ers at the top. Girl power will never get condemnation. It's always going to be celebrated because it's a great functional insulator to the power structure above from the everyday guy who might want to creep up there and change things because yeah. Oh yeah, guys, any of you, Donna mentioned, for anyone who's got a microphone, feel free to, after the stream, join my Discord for a chat. A whole bunch of us usually join in after this stream. Feel free to stay there as long as you can. It's always open 24/7. If you're new to Discord, just go on YouTube for 5 minutes and just learn how to use it with your microphone and set up push to talk. That's the thing that will really help you. Then you'll actually be able to press a button, talk, let go of the button, so you don't interrupt people, so we can respectfully talk with each other. So if you've got a microphone, feel free to follow the link under this video, or it's in my About section on my YouTube channel. Click the link, join my Discord server, and on the left-hand side, you'll see a whole bunch of people there talking. Click on the chat little icon with I think it's a red dot, the chat room, and you'll be able to join in and talk with other people. So after the stream, if you've got a microphone, go there. Like and subscribe to the channel, guys. The channel's going down this last couple of weeks. I must not be advertiser friendly. I don't know. I think I lost like I don't know, about 1,500 subs in the last week and a half. Anyway, like and subscribe. Make sure you are. Helps me out. Transor says, human, have you ever questioned that you might be wrong? Yep. I'm always open to a civil discussion on how I might be wrong. And there's things that I don't necessarily disagree with some guys that I think, yeah, it's not really, I'd rather not be that kind of person. I don't disagree. Like, for instance, there's a lot of, say, more nihilistic ways of looking at things, like, you know, why bother? And I can't disagree with those kind of guys. But the why bother mentality, I know that I won't enjoy my life as much. I'll just be waiting for the grave. So I don't want to be naive, but I would rather be optimistic if it's realistic and enjoy my life as much as possible. But yeah, I'm always questioning whether I might be wrong. Some of you people might not think that. I've heard a few people say that I seem a bit arrogant in a few of my videos where I'll make a point. I'm just trying to assert what I think is right, right? Please, with a civil conversation, a civil comment, I'm always reflecting and sort of saying, well, look, you're not necessarily wrong, or, oh, actually, I haven't thought about it that way. Look, I'll take that on board. Well, you've changed my point of view, or you sharpened the way I think. I may not necessarily flip 180 degrees. You know, your comment might not be like finding religion, but I think it's always good for us to sharpen ourselves and get better. Jennifer says, no, she didn't date Tupac. Okay. I don't follow celebrity gossip much. I heard about her and Tupac, so did she just hook up with him or something? I don't know. Or maybe she never was with him at all. Again, when it comes to celebrity gossip, like the specifics of who was with who and who did what and all that stuff, don't take me as gospel. I don't find much interest in it, other than the lessons we can learn by something that's generally true. But I could be wrong. See, there's an example. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. She didn't date Tupac. I'm not sure. Ah, she couldn't be with him. Okay, so Tupac didn't want to be with her, or she couldn't be with him. Denzel Washington is better than Will Smith. Yeah, I would concur. Yeah, Prince Revolver says, it's always a struggle for men to leave because we want to fix something that willingly chooses to stay broken. Yeah, this fix it, and the thing is there desperate, looking to be fixed. But as women often say, we don't want you to fix our problems. We want you just to listen to us. So our instinct is to fix and make her happy. Making her happy is us fixing the situation. But women don't want to be fixed. They just want to, the wrong kind of woman especially, the one that doesn't fit you. The lesson is there is that you try and fix it. It's not being fixed. The nagging is her showing you, you don't fit. You try to fix it. She doesn't want you to fix it. And the way to fix it is to leave. That's how you fix the situation. Fiona says humor is picking at traits of others. People aren't able to sit with bad feelings, so push to control others' speech and behaviors to stay safe. You can't have both safe space and free speech. Exactly. You can't. The thing that makes humor, stand-up comedy, so funny, the funniest things are when people tell uncomfortable truths in a very funny way that you can't laugh. You can't help but laugh because it's so true. That's the best humor. Hit the like button, guys. 200 and something watching. How many watching? 250? Nearly 250. Just hit the like button. Actually, hit the dislike button if you want. I don't care. I don't think it matters. All I think that YouTube cares about is that you engage. You click, you comment, you can leave a comment under the video, you know, apple pie, orange juice, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, hello. As long as you engage, the algorithm just wants you clicking and engaging. They don't want you passive, they want you actively engaging, which is exactly what we should be doing with our lives as well, not being so passive. Lendon says, ironic how it takes years to build something and moments to destroy it. Do you think it's the investment that motivated Will to act on emotions instead of intellect? No, I think it's kind of very long-term, sort of his problems with mummy issues, problems with women. Yeah, there's the investment thing that just adds to it, makes it even harder for him to move forward and cut the umbilical cord to the female and stand up for himself as a self-respecting guy. You know, to do the things that his friends wish he would do. If he was his own best friend, what would he tell himself to do? Will Smith can't do that. He's scared to death. I wish he would, though. And again, the lesson, why am I talking about this? Why did I make the video? What is the lesson that this situation with Will Smith, with his wife, all this kind of circus, what can we take away that we can better our lives with? What can we not do? What's the forward-moving posture we can take and say, like, yeah, I'm going to do the right thing, not that. And then try and implement that in your lives. Hey, RP Mentor, how you going? He says, what are your thoughts on a hall pass? I've always found this interesting, as in consider what we know regarding hyper GAMY. It would only benefit the woman. Yeah. I've always thought it's stupid. I think it's a woman jokingly kind of saying, oh, it's not real, as though it's going to happen. My hall pass is The Rock or Tom Cruise or whoever, you know, your flavor is. But it's kind of a woman saying, like, you know, sort of just testing the waters of what he would permit, how far he'd let her stray. I would say, like, no, you got no hall pass. It's me or no one. I don't care if we bump into the Rock. I don't care if we go to a celebrity comic book convention and, you know, there's your hall pass, they're signing, and then you and him hit it off. I don't care. Like, there's one thing in saying, like, they're free to find anyone attractive. I don't care. But there's no hall pass. I don't care. Why have I said I don't care so many times? Yeah. The Serbian guy says there is no open relationship, let alone open marriage. Relationship is always exclusive by default. If we keep watering down terms, eventually they will mean nothing. There's so many terms that we've watered down, um, and we've made to seem something else. Even terms like literally, the word literally now used in sentences means the opposite. It means figuratively. So we've changed the meaning of words so much, and we say, well, language evolves. But people are using, they're almost duping people and suckering people to use a meaningful word to get away with an unmeaningful action. To sort of say, oh, you're not committed, but in an open relationship. It's, yeah. I'm not a big fan of add words to the English language. Don't co-opt words and flip them on their heads and say, well, they used to mean up yesterday, but now they mean down. Zonda says Will Smith's action was clearly an example of hurt people. Hurt people. Yeah. Yeah, Elusive Man says Will has Stockholm Syndrome for all that emotional damage from Jada. Breaking free will be a titanic battle. Yeah. They sort of say that the principle of Stockholm Syndrome, because a lot of people say, how can the captor love the dominant person that's keeping them captive? Because the closer you are to the person that's dominating you and treating you badly, the safer you are. This is your instinct. The more you move away, the more dangerous it is. They can kind of grab you and abuse you of going, where do you think you're going? You're captive here. I'm holding you hostage. And so the instinct in Stockholm Syndrome is I am safer next to my captor, even though I want to be free. I don't want to be a hostage, but if I take the risk of trying to escape, the risk of danger goes up more than tenfold. It's kind of like there's literally like life and death danger. So the safest position is to be as close as possible to my captor and be a hostage. The further away I get, the more dangerous it is, even though I want freedom. That's the mind F. Ted1775 human. What will it take for there to be a revolution of some kind or sea change away from this gynos ENTRIC society? I don't think like we're not going to gather together. I think it's up to every individual en masse to sort of germinate this individually, and we stand shoulder to shoulder as respectful individuals who are mature grown-ups willing to have open and honest conversation, and we're not crumbling every time someone says a different idea. I think the more of us start to sort of get more courageous as individuals. Yeah, Rusty said, I noticed your subs went down from 105 to 104. Yep. Yeah, they're almost at 105 and a half, and now they're at 104. So yeah, they've gone down about 1,500 in a week or so. I don't know why, but whatever. Let it go, human. Realism is boring to the masses, yeah. Reality TV is exciting. A stable life, stable routines, that doesn't sell new products. It always needs to be drama. And that's the world we're living, clickbait drama. KJ Jung says human is kind of like a skinny Buddha with expensive camera equipment. Yeah, Mike says, just like in one of your videos, human, your DNA will not let her go. Yeah. Don't throw the eggs away. What are you doing? Yeah, Nev634. What are the correlations between Will Smith and Prince Harry? These are the kind of men that get the most coverage too. Makes you think. Makes you think. What are the most popular guys? Will Smith in tabloid media. They get all the attention. They get all the advertising, get the money and whatever. I used to think back in the day that David Beckham was a wimp. I'd say he's one of the sort of still kind of like he's watering himself out now. He's not that relevant, but he's still, to me, one of the most masculine guys that's still kind of well known. He's still advertising colognes and things like that. He's one of the, whereas back in the day, I thought he was one of the most wimpy examples of masculinity. Compared to all the rest of the guys, it's now kind of flipped on its head. It tells you really how much women are controlling what's advertised as a real man and how little masculinity is actually out there. But there's definitely a lot of correlations between Will Smith and Prince Harry. Emmett says apple pie. Remember, if you don't put a whole bunch of emojis before your question, I might not see them as questions, and it's not that I'm ignoring your questions. I can't really see them because we've got about 260 people on at the moment. Yeah, KG Jung says if it's a romantic relationship, if it's a romantic committed relationship, if it isn't exclusive, then what's the point? Yeah, it's just kind of acquaintance that you sort of go to bed with, have fun with. It's like kind of going to the gym, or it's playing sport. It's sport effing, you know. Like, subscribe, guys, and if you got a microphone after this stream, a whole bunch of us will be on my Discord. If you know how to use Discord. If not, just look on YouTube. It's not very hard. Learn how to use push to talk. Just type that in. How to push to talk on YouTube. Sean C says, at 100k plus subs, brother, a bit of fluctuation is nothing to worry about, given the confronting and honest power of your content. Thanks for the support, Sean. Celestial Woodway, thank you for the donation. His or her comment is Jada ashamed to be bald or proud? If you are proud, a little teasing won't bother you. Or just get a damn wig. Many people do that, male or female. Exactly. I always say, if you're actually secure in what you're proud of, it won't offend you. The example I always use is someone says to me, human, you don't love your mother or your father or your... my first reaction would just be to laugh. It wouldn't be to defend and say, like, yes, I do. And this is the reaction of, like, unless it's like a direct comment, like Will Smith walking up to Chris Rock, unless it's a direct comment to attack you personally, I mean, you could argue that would be as well. But if I know what I believe, what I love, who I am, everything that I know is not true related to me is a joke. RP Mentor says, do you view women eliciting a negative emotional response in her partner when she's away as a means to soft form of Stockholm Syndrome? i.e. texting negative things when he's with friends. Yes, I think it's a way of her. She wants to consume and have him all to herself. I think it's kind of, whether you want to call it Stockholm, like it keeps him close to her. It keeps her subservient, whether you want to call it narcissism as well, like making sure that her supply is all hers. I think there's something in that. Any more comments, guys? We've been going for just over an hour. I'll read some more comments under the recent videos. Zone, relating to the Chris, my recent video, he says, better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. This comes from Proverbs 21:19. I agree. I've never felt more alone than in a bad relationship. Never felt more alone. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest. It is the worst mental F up, where you've got what you want, and it should be giving you the opposite feelings. You know, you should feel close. You should feel good. You should not be anxious. You should not feel nervous. You should feel calm and warm and good and relaxed. It's all flipped on its head, and it's like, what's going on? I've been sold a false bill of goods in terms of the feelings that this relationship should elicit from me. Boogie says, I was in the same mode of thought during my marriage, trying to will her love and, just as important, her respect and admiration. I thought if I could be nicer, more accommodating, attentive, give more of myself, she would be happy. 28 years, and in the end she walked. Her reason? She wasn't happy anymore, and I no longer made her laugh like I used to. Having lived for nearly 3 decades with her happiness as the point of origin for everything in my life, I was left with literally not knowing who I was or what path I should take. Yeah, I've experienced little moments like this, nothing like what you've experienced, but when you just give, you scoop yourself out. Of course, when they discard you, there's nothing left. There's nothing, sort of, your mode of conduct is you're a giving machine. Like, there's nothing filling you up because you're not being re-energized. You're just energizing her. 4 years later, and I'm coming out of the abyss, but every day is still a struggle. My advice to all men, especially young, don't ever make a woman the center of your focus in life. They should be a complement to it and to you. I would say, as soon as possible, you're always consciously aware if you're treating each other reciprocally and fairly. I think, this is my point of view, don't necessarily be defensive and say, I will always hold a woman at a distance and only give her 30% or 40% and never make her the soul. If you want to experience what you want to experience in a relationship, you have to kind of jump in. But before you commit to jump in, you should spend years knowing the person and to see if it's consistently reciprocal, rather than keeping a woman at a distance. Because what's the point? You might as well be on your own and then just have casual relationships, but don't pretend that you're going to get what you want out of deep, meaningful love from holding a woman at a distance and only trusting her or giving her only 30 or 40% of you because you can't take being hurt to that degree again. Because the whole point is, like, trusting someone completely and feeling really comfortable with them requires you to jump in. What I advise to guys, which is what I hold myself to, is you no longer trust women because you're told they're nice and sugar and spice and why don't you, and make her happy. It's no, like, unless I feel comfortable she's not getting what she wants, she's getting what I give her, yeah, I'll listen to what she wants. We're on the same page, but you need to make the decisions as well. If you have to make a decision, it has to be yours, not a coerced one from her. Verve 2030 says, also, age has caught Will Smith. What dazzles others does not work on her. She knows his flaws and his secrets. There is nothing there that she wants. He has drained himself trying to please others, and that never works. His behavior is unacceptable, but he won't be punished, and that's sad, honest truth. CERN says, mummy issues. Yep, I agree. Tips for Trucker says, when a woman makes up her mind she doesn't want you, you can never get that genuine desire back. Yeah. There are too many cases where couples go to marriage counseling and a woman just goes there just to show and tell people afterwards that she went and tried. So she doesn't have shame, because a woman doesn't like to feel shame. Because if a woman says, I just left him, and she'll tell people, I wasn't happy, blah, 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 so I just left him. I couldn't be with him. But if she says, I was unhappy, blah, 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 and we went to marriage counseling and it still didn't work, it's like, oh, well, you tried, sister. So no shame. So women, most of the time, they go to marriage counseling or couples counseling just to make a gesture. But once a woman's made up her mind emotionally, it's kind of like a safe. It's like you're not getting out in there. You're not turning her around. She's left. And she's just going to be miserable until it breaks or you leave. But she doesn't want to be the bad guy afterwards. KJ Jung in the comment under the video says, open marriage equals single. Except when someone else is being suckered into paying the bills while the other sleeps around. It's just idiotic. One would think that if Will was going to slap someone, it would be the men his wife had affairs with. I disagree. I think the person that was sitting next to him in the audience should have been the person he was doing that to on stage. That's what he wanted to do. That's what that frustration was. I can't say that on YouTube. Yeah, it would be the men his wife had affairs with. I don't think men should take it out on the wives and girlfriends that chose to sleep around. Other guys are just strangers, their bodies. If it's not one guy, it would have been someone else. Your partner is not faithful. Like the real test is when you actually see your partner's hit on and she says no to guys, you know that she's committed to you. But your wife is not just committed to you to the degree that she hasn't slept around. You really know 100% is that she says no to people. So if no one propositioned Jada or came onto her or flirted back with her, Will would never have experienced that betrayal. And then he would have said, like, my wife's always been faithful. So I don't really I disagree with saying you should take it out on the men who slept with your wife or girlfriend. No. The problem you have is with your wife or your partner. The commitment you have is with them. You don't have a commitment with some Joe Blow down the street. Who cares? I think when guys take it out on the guys their partners have an affair with, they're doing it because they're misdirecting where their frustration is. Just as Will went on stage and slapped Chris Rock. That should have been directed, the issues there should have been directed with his wife Jada. KJ says, the joke was so mild that anyone to get upset, it must have skin like, they must have skin like wet paper and an ego like thin glass. Love? Neither of the Sims know what that word even means in context of partnerships. Yeah, I think they're so wrapped up in Hollywood and they're both actors, they don't actually know what it is to be themselves. I don't think Will Smith has much of a personality at all. He is a performative individual. There's a little boy in there that really wants to be happy, but he just doesn't know how. There's this kind of adult actor that's pulling the strings. Boffin actually left a comment, says it's almost impossible for damaged people to fix one another. And as a casual observer, the Will Jada drama seems to be an example of this dynamic. In many ways, Jada seems the embodiment of toxic femininity. And if Will were a healthy man, self-respect for starters, Jada would have been jettisoned from his life long ago. Will and Jada have constructed a zombie partnership for themselves. Yeah, they're sleepwalking through life. They're anesthetized in a relationship. I'm unaware of a zombie love story with a happy ending. Yeah, neither am I. Techno Mage B5 says, Will needs to look at Jada for who she is, not the person in his mind he's built her up to be. The two don't match, never even close. Hence the cognitive dissonance. Yeah, this is the comment I was looking for. The two of them don't match at all. I'm sure we've seen couples, we go, how are they together? They're completely opposite. They don't talk. They're not friends. They disagree. And when you see them at gatherings and parties and barbecues and in public, you think, this is them at their best behavior, and you can already see the coldness and antagonism. I'd hate to be him when they get in the car or in closed doors. It's kind of like they don't talk, silence, coldness, no love, no communication, no warmth, no friendship. No friendship in your life, no conversation. Imagine that. Torment says, yeah, Will has one issue alone. Ignorance. He does. Ignorance can wrap up everything that's Will's problem. And this is why I want us guys to get to chew on these whys of observing these things. Not to laugh at celebrities, to kind of reflect on ourselves and see where we can improve. Not to be ignorant, not just laugh at these people. What's the lesson that can be learnt? Vero says, I think Will Smith refuses to face reality. How long can he keep trying to lie to himself? Yep. Sigma SV says, the fact that he screamed, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth is proof that this wasn't staged. Mr. Clean Cut Goody Two Shoes would never agree to saying something like that. This is someone who has been fundamentally changed over the years, and we all know by whom. This is what makes me think maybe it's not. Again, I don't know. Awab says, the slap translation is, I'm miserable, angry, and depressed. Yep. I'm a hostage. I want out, but I don't want to leave my captor. Iron Yuppie says, open relationships and friends with benefits never work. The latter is, in particular, is a great myth and has become very ingrained in our culture, especially for millennials and zombies. And Zoomers, sorry, zombies. The truth is, people in friends with benefit situations are in a relationship in all but name. The label is just used as an excuse to be an awful human being, but most of the time, and relationship lazy, these people pretend that humans can simply turn off the pair bonding process and emotional connection that takes place when two people have sex. They acted surprised when feelings develop. Yeah, feelings develop. I feel really good around them. I can't just throw them away by the script we all agree on. When I'm with them, I feel certain things, but I've got to discount how I feel. And this is the important thing. We keep following these dumb, robotic, lifeless, cold scripts with other people, and we feel odd. We feel weird. We're taking antipsychotics. We feel insecure. And we're denying the human aspect of us. It's like saying, I want to go swimming, but I don't want to get wet. Yeah, I agree. Gogo says, what do women want? More. I said that in one of my very early videos. I made a video that's fairly popular. It's just called More. And it's basically, if you can sum up what a lot of modern women want, is just more. Whatever it is, they just want more. And to be fair, I didn't come up with that concept. That was the Rude Guy, if I'm not mistaken, back in the old days. He made, either it was a video or a podcast, the audio, that was basically what women want is one word, more. Charles D says, the only things that move my head and makes me proud are when I metaphorically jumped out of the plane without a parachute, making one on the way down. Yes, it's exhilarating, but I would say don't jump out of a plane with a parachute, but, take a recoverable risk. It's kind of like, I'd say the most recoverable risk I would ever take would be if I'm such a seasoned professional parachutist, skydiver, what's the term? That the only challenge left for me to do, because I'm so skillful, I'm like a Yoda of jumping out of a plane, is that I can challenge myself to throw 5 parachutes out of the plane and then jump out after them and catch one. That's how skilled I am. That's about as risk-taking as I'd get. But just actually jumping out of a plane without a parachute and then just, thinking I can make one on the way down, don't do that. But I know what you mean. I like the sentiment. We learn who we are through taking the path we know we should take, but we don't want to. I said in a recent video, do what you should do. How long have we been going for? Nearly an hour and a half. One more comment. I think Quasimandias left under the recent video. It's a longer one. He says, interesting. My thoughts have been much in the same area recently. It's never enough because for many cases, because the advocates for the cause don't want remedy but power within the system of oppression. They simply want the license to be as abused as they perceive others have been, and they want the power for themselves. There is simply no possible way to ethically justify punishing an individual who has harmed none for the perceived harms of others in the historic past. In fact, this is under my videos. There's still a long way to go. Sorry, this will give context to this about sort of the women who say we're justified in treating men bad because of like the history of how we perceive women have been treated. There is simply no possible way to ethically justify punishing an individual who has harmed no one for the perceived harm of others in the historical past. In fact, to punish a collective population for the injury caused by a portion of its members is generally considered to be a crime against humanity. Yes. Remarkably, in contrast, there are individuals who in fact have profited handsomely by harms committed in the past and still hold generational wealth and privilege from such, all well documented, but those individuals will never be held to account. A lot of these people are women. Just average Joe Lunchbox is held to account, but that's only because he has no means of defending himself. While I would personally consider myself a FE eminist, oh really? In fact, I wouldn't support women FE eminists because rather than evaluating women, it to my mind seeks to allow them to be full participants in a cycle of oppression that harms women and men both. I see no benefit there. I'd rather see that cycle of oppression done away with, but of course to do so takes personal responsibility and autonomy, and both are attributes that those privileged with the ability to dominate others due to their status within hierarchy or authorities are unlikely to give up. Yeah, look, I've sort of seen nothing wrong with the sort of the first wave or earlier, girl power chicks who just say, look, we just want an equal playing field, leave us alone. We're going to be responsible for us picking ourselves up, becoming anything we want to become. Fine, do what you want. Everything after that, no. I wouldn't call myself siding with girl power or anything like that. But for the individualistic side, for those very first proponents of girl power, I can actually see the wanting of complete free will and autonomy and the responsibility that came with it. Because a lot of the older generation of women, the octogenarians that are still sort of can identify as like being a girl power chick, they're sort of soberingly more realistic. They'll say that no, we didn't expect any special favors, concessions. We just wanted the freedom to do anything we wanted and to fail by doing, and we didn't want to be picked up by men or society as well. Okay, respect. Any more questions, guys? Elusive Man says once she has emotionally checked out, there's nothing to fix that relationship. Yeah, I think I read that. Your boy Ash says, why doesn't Will simply leave her? Yeah, we all know, and I think Will knows this as well. Will's known this probably in the early days of when he was with her, but didn't say anything. He was just walking on eggshells and thought he had a prize. And especially because when they became a couple, he was also there was more coverage and idolatry around him because he was with Jada. He just sort of elevated his validation of it, all the validation he was getting from like both society and him. Like he was just getting a lot. It was like, I don't want to lose anything. I don't think Will has exercised much in terms of losing for the benefit of having a better life. Like he just needs to kind of lose what he needs to let go of. Will Smith is like a hoarder that doesn't know what to get rid of. Yeah, Sixth Dharma says the irony is that Will Smith laughed at that joke at first. When he turned to Jada to see a disappointment, then he totally lost it. Yeah. I think it's sort of also sort of belies the fact of how much of an actor he is. He goes there and he laughs. You kind of see him when he talks, and he's not the greatest actor. But I like his movies. It's kind of like Tom Cruise movies. They're great. Without even watching the preview, I'll go watch his movies. Because he makes good films. He makes great movies. But I don't actually think Will Smith is a great actor. He just plays Will Smith most of the time, especially when he tries to act emotional, when he does that kind of whole blubbering... I don't know. I'm not a fan of him as an actor, but I'm a fan of his movies. The how Will Smith plays Will Smith, or the kind of cardboard cutout he plays. Like for instance, in that movie, what was that one where he had his son in it? It was in the future, like Another Earth or something like that, where they crash land on another planet. The character he played was so wooden and crap, and I know he's supposed to be very have no emotion, but he was just it was awful. But what the character said, the lines were great. I loved hearing the lines, but the way he delivers them, I don't think he's much of an actor, but I like his movies, and I'll watch almost every movie he's in. Just I'll always like and enjoy Tom Cruise movies. Because ironically enough, it's kind of like I think Daniel Day-Lewis is a great actor, but I don't rewatch many of his movies. They don't entertain me as much, but he's a great actor. One person where I am entertained and he's a great actor is Sir Anthony Hopkins. That guy's got it all. Just the Guy says, some actors lack a core personality. The most obvious example for me is Johnny Depp. Oh, really? I think Johnny Depp is very... he's sort of... he doesn't show a lot of his core personality. I think he keeps it very hidden. He's a very sensitive guy. But I think Johnny Depp shows more of his core personality than Will Smith. Will Smith is very surface to me. Tom Cruise is very surface to me. To me, Johnny Depp is much more real, but he doesn't let a lot out. He's very reserved. I like Johnny Depp. Okay. All right, guys. Any more comments? If not, let's call it a day. Yeah, Elusive Man says the cardboard cutout he plays indeed human. Yeah, I think Will is just acting, trying to act like the best Will Smith he can be. He is. He's just trying to act like the best Will Smith he can be. All right, guys. Remember, like, subscribe. For those of you who have a microphone, jump on Discord after this stream, and a bunch of us usually go there and chat for a bit. hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. And I'll see the rest of you on Discord. Thanks for being part of it, guys. I'll catch you next time. Ciao. Bye. Later.